Welcome to Scrollin, a podcast about the Elder Scrolls Online. I'm Ket, and this is episode number 12. Had to resist the temptation to say welcome to Stoon's Cast.
Stoon's Cast.
Yeah. Hey, don't give it away yet. All right, we'll just save it. So, all right, let's just start with a round of introductions. I have with me here Davyous Starjumper. How you doing, Davyous?
Great, excited.
Awesome, cool. Icy, how are you, man?
I'm pretty good. Looking forward to a round 2 podcast.
Yeah. And Grim from Grim's Forge Gaming. How are you doing, dude?
I'm doing good, man. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, good morning. Good to be here. So I figure we'll just dive straight into these announcements. So anyone listening, you may have noticed that it has been a mere 1 week since the last Scrollin podcast episode. And you're also probably noticing that there are multiple voices yet again. So what's going on here? There's something afoot. Do you guys have any idea what's happening?
I have no idea.
All right. These guys are fighting out for the first time, too, along with all the listeners. Well, basically, we had such a good time recording that episode last weekend. And we were so pleased with how it turned out in the end that we all agreed to just keep doing it together from here on out. In addition to that, it's going to be a weekly podcast from now on as well. Whereas up to now, it's been like once every 4 to 6 weeks, and it's just been me by myself. So yeah, that's a brand new thing. It's a weekly podcast, and all 4 of us are going to be here every time, except, maybe someone will have some family thing or whatever. You might have to miss once in a while. That's exciting, right?
Oh, yeah.
Very
exciting times.
It's going to be fun.
I'm going to go ahead and edit in like some cheering noises right there.
Round of applause.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of editing going on here. We're going to really spice this thing up. I'm super excited. I've been wanting to kind of transition to this kind of format for quite a while. So far I've kind of thought of it as I'm just sort of delivering the news, and it's just been me. But just like podcasts that I listen to, I really like to hear a conversation, and I like to get to know multiple personalities, and I sort of enjoy the dynamic that exists between the different people. So I've been wanting to get that going here. And I think just now the planets are aligning. I kind of have found a group of people that I think have the right kind of vibe that I wanted to have here. So appreciate you guys being here and agreeing to do this and all of that.
This is awesome.
Yeah, happy to be here. We're the full newsroom now. Now we have weather, sports.
Yeah. And for the Nord news, Davyous.
Davyous, how's the weather looking in East March today?
Yeah.
Still a little cold.
Cold and cloudy. Back to you.
We're drinking and eating, though. Don't you worry.
Yeah. All right. So that's announcement number 1. Announcement number 2 is related. So we made a brand new guild in the game. Let's give the listeners a moment to see if they can guess the name. All right, time's up. The name is Stoon's Goons. So I think that's the best possible name we could have come up with. It was completely inspired by the conversation we had last weekend, the first episode we recorded together. I don't know what to say about this exactly. I mean, I have a couple things written down here, but it's hard to know exactly what to say because we're still formulating the conception of the guild, what kinds of things we're wanting to do, and all of that stuff. So that's still coming, and there's only like a few people. I don't think Icy is even in the guild yet. Icy, you need to drop one of your 5 guilds, so you become
Icy has to happen.
One of the 4 members of the Stoon's Goons. All right.
I will get on that right away.
Thank you. No, I'm just kidding. But so yeah, we're just now getting this thing going. This is like the first time. I haven't even tried recruiting people in game or anything yet. So we're just now kind of telling people about it. So we do have a mission statement. That much. I came up with a mission statement a few days ago, and I feel pretty good about it. So I'm just going to read that to you guys right now. Stoon's Goons is founded on the belief that everyone, no matter how OP, deserves to have their very own set of Stoons. That's why we are committed to providing a set of Stoons to every Goon in our ranks. Stoon's Goons.
Stoon's Goons.
So that's kind of the that's a feature of the guild, I guess, for now. Everyone who joins, you're getting a set of stoons. As soon as the patch goes live and that set's available, you join. You let us know what weight, what weapons, whatever. We're going to get you a set of stoons. Now we may not be able to gold it out, but we'll at least get you purple.
Yep.
And that's what the stoons goons are all about. Spreading the word of stoon. I actually did look up who Stoon is. It's an actual dude in the Nordic pantheon. What do you have to say about that, Davyous?
Just the stars aligning perfectly. That's all I can say to that. Just everything lining up perfectly.
He apparently was the precursor. He apparently was the precursor to Stendar, who I think is kind of a big deal for Nords. But he basically invented the concept of taking prisoners of war rather than just killing everyone. So he's, he has kind of a touch of mercy, something like that.
He's got some smarts, some mercy,
Yeah.
Nord could use a little bit of that.
I just thought that was cool because we were just making all these Stoods jokes because of the Arbor set, and then we look into it and it's like, oh, it's a Nord thing. Davyous is gonna love this.
Yes, it's fantastic. It's all good.
I sense a character deletion and creation here in the near future.
Possibly so.
It works for any one of the characters. Every single one of them is a Nord. So
yeah, you can just role play. They're all descendants of Stoon.
They're all descendants of Stoon.
As far as like the vibe of the guild, Davyous, I think you came up with this idea of how to describe the guild, just the atmosphere and all of that. Do you want to give us your description?
Yeah. So essentially, Stoon is our Bill Brasky. This is the Bill Brasky of ESO guilds.
Exactly. I love it. I think that encapsulates the spirit of the Stoods Goons so perfectly. If you don't know what we're talking about, it's an old SNL sketch. Gosh, how do you even describe it? It's like these middle-aged salesmen that have like they're meeting at a bar, and one of their like colleagues, mentors, has passed away. This dude named Bill Brasky, and these dudes are all just getting drunk, toasting to this guy, just telling stories, and all that sort of stuff. And it's a fun vibe, really funny sketch. That's basically going to be the vibe at the Stoods Goons. We're just all going to be like cracking Stoods jokes left and right, forever and ever. Basically.
If you don't know what we're talking about, just right now, take a pause, go Google Bill Brasky, watch the skit. Now you understand.
Yeah.
Goons.
If you watch that sketch and if you slightly chuckle, you're going to love the Goons. Get in here.
Gonna love Stoons Goons.
So I like that. We don't even know what we're going to do. We don't even know what the point of the guild is, but we know everyone's getting Stoons and Bill Brasky. All right. That much we do know.
Wait a minute. I have to add in too. There's a good chance. I think we can have it set that we're going to have Goon Night, where everybody throws on their Stoons.
Yep.
And we roll into Cyrodiil or Imperial City.
Everyone get your 10-piece Stoons, and let's go get your Dizzy Swing, and we're going to go wreck some people.
Goon
Dizzy swing on all 5 ability slots.
Yep. Don't you dare slot Executioner or anything else. Send me a screenshot of your skill bars. No, you're out.
Everybody check in. Screenshot the skill bars. You're good.
It's looking an awful lot like a real build there. I don't know that we can have you along.
Yeah.
What do you have, a heal slotted? Get out of here.
Yeah. That's not what we're about on Goon Night, all right? As funny as that'll be probably a surprisingly effective outing too, right?
Probably will.
It'll be like,
who are these guys?
These guys are amazing.
I'm going to create a guy, and his name's going to be, I'm probably going to D-swing. That's his name. I'm probably going to D-swing.
Probably going to D-swing.
Nice.
I like it. And yeah, probably so. That could be probably just about everyone's name this next patch.
Right.
So yeah, as far as guild events go, that was the one idea we had. We're gonna have Goon Night. I think other stuff will come. We'll take feedback, of course, as well. Any ideas that listeners have, you can send me an email in game at @CatSparrowHawk is my in-game name. If you want to request to be invited to the guild, that's where you can get a hold of me, or any suggestions or anything like that. Happy to hear about it. We'll probably be fairly PvP focused. But as with most guilds, we're all doing all kinds of stuff, questing, crafting, PvE, all that kind of stuff. So we'll be getting into it all. But it's really just going to be just kind of a chill group of people to hang out with. It's kind of really going to be the idea there. And along with that, I'm also opening up the Discord, which is how we're all talking right now. We're in here all the time. I just realized we're in the public channel, so hopefully no one jumps in here. If anyone wants to be on the podcast, feel free to jump in right now.
Jump in.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome on in. You're a new member, our 5th member now.
My gosh, if you jump in the podcast randomly, you better start off with just a Stoons Goons battle cry.
Jump in with a Stoons joke. Yeah. But yeah, so we're not like a partner or affiliate or anything like that with Discord, so we don't have the custom URL. It's just the random generated thing. So I'll just put that link in the description of this podcast and pretty much any video or anything like that I put up. So you'll be able to find the Discord and come hang out with us here. I'm at least always logged into the Discord server, and all of us are here a lot of the time. So if you just want to hang out, come along. You guys have any other announcements you want to toss out before we move along to the next section?
Welcome.
3, 2.
Just got to say, I'm super excited about Stoons Goons. Everybody, I recommend finding us, joining up. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I hope you're ready for a lot of Stoons jokes.
A lot of stuff.
Especially this next batch. It's just going to be Stoons jokes all the way down. Right? All right. So we're still kind of going to be figuring out what the format of this podcast is going to be. This is still new really to all of us, even though I've been doing it for a while. This is brand new to me, doing it with other people and doing it on a weekly basis. So we're going to be experimenting with the format a little bit. It might change up a bit over the next couple of episodes, but we got a bit of a structure to go off of here. So I think what we're going to do is just start off by talking about what we've been up to in the game. We'll just kind of take turns and each use that as a starting point to get a conversation going. So Icy, do you want to kick us off? Tell us what you've been up to in ESO lately, man.
So this week, I've been working with my Daedric Trickery set, which I love a lot.
I'm pretty sure you're the only person I've ever seen that uses this set.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. But I do love it. It gives you it procs every 10 seconds while in combat, and either giving you major expedition, protection, vitality, mending, and heroism. Mm-hmm. And if you've been consistent with your daily prayer to Moloch Baal, he will grant you the buff that you need when you need it. And
you just have to have faith. It's the faith.
You just have to have faith in this Daedric Lord. So my only gripe with it is that the indicator isn't as clear unless you're really focusing on your character. Because the only buff that's noticeable is major expedition, because it leaves a little green trail behind you, so you can really take advantage of that when it comes up. But all the other ones, they're kind of hard to see. So I think what I'm going to do, I know I was talking to Grim about it the other day, I'm going to create a Daedric Trickery add-on just for that. It'll kind of be similar to the buff timer add-on that can be found on Minion, but for whatever reason that's not working anymore, at least for my computer. But I think I'm just going to create a Daedric Trickery icon add-on so that it'll be a little bit more noticeable, so that when those procs do come up, it'll be a lot easier to take advantage and utilize the set more effectively. Because I know in the little tournament that we did last night, there was a moment where I was hiding behind a pillar, just waiting, just doing my Moloch Baal prayers, and of course he gave me major protection, and I went in, and I think I got the kill right after that point. So it is useful when you take effective of it. That's been my thing this week.
That's cool, man. So do you find that you're getting pretty good at like recognizing like, oh, I have this buff now, so I need to slip into this kind of play style. And now I have this buff, I better shift into this gear now. And do you find that you're really changing your play style up as the fight goes on?
I want to say that I do, but it's once you're in the heat of battle, you kind of lose focus.
Sure.
The only one I can really say is Major Expedition is like really comes through, because that way, if we're in the Imperial sewers and we got to chase someone down, you better believe Major Expedition just popped up, so now I can easily run them down and CC him so we can close in on the kill there. So, but I think once I get the add-on going, it'll be a lot easier to at least notice the buffs when they come up, so that we could take advantage of it.
What's the other sets that you're running with Trickery?
Well, so for my CC Nord DK, she's got. What does she got? Daedric Trickery, Twiceborn Star, and Mighty Chudons. And then my regular Redguard Stamp DK, she's got the Daedric Trickery. What else does she have?
Merkulden.
More Kuldens and Engine Guardian, which I just call that my RNG simulator set.
Yeah, that's just a wild time happening right there.
Yeah, and it's cool because if you recognize when the buffs are up, you can you're a powerhouse for those few moments, and then there's counterplay to it, so it's not overpowered because once they're not up, that's when I'm at my weakest. Yeah. So I like it. I'd say it's balanced. But you don't know when it's going to happen. But that's part of the fun.
Yeah, that's cool. We've been enjoying that CC build running around in Imperial City. You've been making the fights a lot easier for us just by making life miserable for all of our enemies.
Oh yeah, dude! Freaking what is that? I got six forms of CC on my front bar. Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
like it's nuts. Major, what is it? Minor maim. I got 2 stuns, a knockback, some snares. Good Lord. Movement, speed reduction. It's all over the place. And with 3,000 recovery and max resistances, ain't nobody getting away.
Yeah. Just absolute cancer.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Cool, man. Anything else you want to talk about before we move on?
No, that's it for me.
All right. Davyous Starjumper, what have you been up to lately, man?
I have been working on preparation for my vampire build for this upcoming set. Name of the character, the Never-Ending Nord.
Best name ever.
pumped about this name.
Fantastic name. Perfect name for a vampire too, right? Never-ending, he never dies. Yeah.
The Never-Ending Nord. It's everything I want to be,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, working on him. I'm leveling up pretty slowly just because it's mainly just in preparation until that patch drops, because I won't be able to really finish out the build until the patch drops because all the changes coming. Right. But I did go onto the build editor and play around with the build, and I am really, really excited. I think it's gonna actually work out. I think it's pretty wild. The idea of it is to use health as my main sustain. Mm-hmm.
Which sounds scary.
It does sound scary, but I do I double down on the vampire idea of cost reduction on abilities. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of cost
stage
reduction.
4 vampire with the Vampire Lord set, right?
Yes. So stage 4 Vampire Lord set. And then the new prismatic cost reduction glyph on the jewelry.
So what's that, like 85% cost reduction? How much cost reduction?
I don't know.
40,
I don't know
50%?
the exact. It's a lot. I don't know the exact math on it. I can read you some numbers of kind of tooltips of what I have. My main spammable is the vampire ability. I've got that down to around 900 health for the spammable cost, which I think I can even get that lower because I think the build editor's not quite factoring in the jewelry glyphs yet. But misform, I did the blood miss where you deal damage and heal while you're in it. I've got that down to 333 magicka per second.
Wow. That's amazing.
Cost of blood mist.
And that's a toggle ability now. So you activate that ability, you stay in mist form until you activate it to go out of it. So it's 330 magicka a second. That's incredible.
Yeah, so I can stay in that for a good chunk of time. And also really exciting is that I have the Perfect Scion, the new vampire morph. Uh-huh. I've got that down to 127 ultimate, and the build is a Nord, of course.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. Sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to focus on that because I hadn't realized that the Vampire Lord ultimate was so cheap.
Well, so it it's doubling down on the stage 4 vampire and the vampire lord set is what's bringing it down. But yeah, you can get it down to that cheap pretty easily.
It made me realize that like maybe the whole idea of like if you're really wanting to super go into being a vampire and playing the vampire playstyle, the whole idea is to be in that form most of the time. It seems like because it's a 20-second long duration, right? So I feel like you're going to be able to, the fact that it lasts that long and the ultimate costs so little, you're going to be able to spend, I don't know, at least half your time in that form, I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, and it works really well. That's one of my favorite parts with this build is that, almost all my abilities cost health. So I'm slowly melting my own health. I've got a lot of heals, the mist form, I do the heal. So I have ways to heal up, but I'm spending health to do my abilities. And while it's really low cost, 900 health for spammable, I've got the toggle on weapon damage for 700 health per second. But as soon as I pop into that ultimate Scion, it instantly fully heals me. So if I can kind of go through rotations slowly, kind of work my health down, keep heals up, and then once I get too low, kick on the ultimate and then just start it right back over again.
Yeah. So you can use it defensively and offensively, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. And then obviously when I'm in the form, I'm just going right back into going through things.
I've been thinking of it as like comparing it obviously to the Goliath, the Necromancer ability where you transform into the Goliath. And that thing costs 250 ultimate. It also lasts 20 seconds, but it's a totally the fact that it costs so much more, I feel like makes it an entirely different thing. That's just something that, when you can pop that thing. Maybe if it's an emergency or something like that. It seems to be when most people use it. But otherwise, the fact that it costs so much ultimate, you're only going to be spending so much time in that form, so you're not really relying on that at all, just situationally. Whereas with this build you're talking about here, like you very well may be in that form more often than not. That might be just what you are most of the time is that form. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm gonna stick with Bloodspawn even through the patch just to kind of help, being a Nord with their regular ultimate gain. Mm-hmm. I'm still gonna use Bloodspawn for the ultimate gain to kind of help get into that form a little bit quicker. But yeah, I'm super excited about the build. Once I kind of put it in the build editor, I kind of started seeing how it's gonna work out.
And you're gonna use the ultimate morph that takes you to stage 5 vampirism, right?
Yeah, I'm going to start with that one. I think both of them could be good, but I like the stage 5 is, you get all the buffs of stage 4, but you get no negative drawbacks. And so so you already when you're in the Scion form, you heal for 15% of all damage you deal. And then since you're stage 5, all your health recovery would come back. Yeah. And then you lose your, weakness to fire. So,
and your class abilities cost normal amount, or your non-vampire abilities cost a normal amount.
Class abilities cost normal. It
seems like the way to go. If you're going for this build where you're going to be in that form a lot of the time, it seems like that morph is for sure the way to go.
I'm really excited about it. It's a Necromancer vampire, so I have a lot of the Necromancer free. What's the word I'm looking for?
The tethers.
The tethers. Thank you. I have a lot of the tethers.
Edit that. It'll sound fine.
I will say that perfectly when it happens. No, but we have I have a lot of the tether abilities, and really, I have the ultimate generating tether ability. That's probably the one I would use a lot just to kind of get more to that corpse, or the Scion. But it works out because all these tether abilities have passives that as soon as they're slotted, they do things. So every ability kind of just seemed to really feed off each other. The Necromancer has the health costing cleanse, which I was already planning on using that anyways because I'm spending health. But the passive ability of that cleanse is that when it's slotted, the cost of all your abilities is reduced by 3%. So it just kind of really seemed like a good match. So I'm really, really excited to get this character leveled up and when the patch launches, kind of really set it up and see how it works out.
Very cool. I'm pumped to see it in action. Seems like Necromancer is a really great choice for Vampire because they have multiple free abilities. They have that cleanse that costs health. So it seems like as a class, they're not getting impacted nearly as much by all that cost increase you get from being a vampire. So it'd be a very good choice. Cool, man. Anything else you want to talk about, or should we move on?
I think that's everything. That's mainly what I've been focusing on this week. Just that and our regular. If anybody doesn't already know, we do hang out in Imperial City a lot. So if you guys are ever down there, try to find us.
Yep, we're down there. Try to find us. Try to fight us or join us. Whatever.
Try to fight us or join us.
All right, man. Well, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing that in action here in a few weeks. Let's move on. Grim from Grim's Forge Gaming. How you doing, dude?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing well. What have you been up to here lately?
Just got a stamina Templar build done and for a friend, and we got that video out, and then I switched Spartan back to Magplar. And that's where he's home at. Yeah, I like that build a lot. And then
would you say that's your main, or?
Yeah, at one time he was, but I find myself jumping around on a bunch of different things now.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to pick just one.
Yeah. The new flavor of the month, right?
Yeah.
You can feel that. And so he's back to Magicka, and I kind of feel at home on him. And then I just hosted a dueling tournament at my house in game, and we. Oh,
that's right. Icy, you didn't mention it. Icy won that tournament, right?
He did. Yeah, Icy won. Actually, he's 2-time returning champion now.
Oh man.
So
yeah,
he's hitting us with the humility.
I mean, that's usually the best way to play it. I'm like, okay, thank you.
Yeah, that was a magic game. We go, Icy, what have you been up to here lately? Oh, well, I won a dueling tournament 2 in a row. No big deal. 100K gold.
I would never say that.
All right, back to Grim. All right, you hosted the dueling tournament?
Yeah, I do the dueling tournament. It's for Great Glory. It's one of the guilds that I'm in, and I kind of head up the PvP training at area for that, and kind of a mentorship. And so we do beginner dueling tournaments to intermediate and then advanced, and we have different levels to it. So like if you were to look at Legend, the Guild Legend, and see what their rules are for dueling, pretty extensive, a lot of rules, 2 pages. And
one of those rules right now is Stamina Necromancer not allowed. Seriously.
Yeah. And they don't allow, anywhere from 2 to 4 class abilities per class, because they've kind of been listed as overpowered. And, there's a lot of things. And I think that's definitely for like the end game, but for newer PvPers that are just learning how to put rotations together and just learning, their very first experience in a dueling tournament, I'd like it to be a little bit more lax on the rules.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do. We actually do it inside my home. I have an arena built outside, but we do it inside my home where the pillars are. And we even allow for line of sight.
Okay.
And so I think as a new player, it's probably important to establish the importance of being able to line of sight to help themselves. And they don't abuse it because they're newer players. They're just trying to figure out how to use it. And we've all run into the highly skilled line of sight people in Imperial City.
Oh yeah.
We wouldn't want that rule if they were in a dueling tournament. You're never going to kill that person. But for the newer players, they use it occasionally, not too often, and just enough to make it worthwhile. And so now for the intermediate, we'll take that away. You're not going to be able to line of sight. And we allow all classes. They do have to submit their armor sets to me within 24 hours before the tournament, and they have to submit their first and second bar of abilities. And nobody knows what anyone else is coming as, so you kind of need to plan accordingly, what might I run into, and I need to be ready for it all. And we don't allow people to swap those abilities. They'll be disqualified if I see them using an ability that wasn't submitted. We don't allow poisons either, weapon poisons.
Interesting.
Yeah, only because the newer players, like advanced players, newer players are having a hard time with their sustain.
Yeah, if you get some resource draining poisons in there.
The resource draining poisons would wreck their day. And so we don't want that. And also if you put hindrance poisons or the poisons that cause the root or snare, now all of a sudden they don't know why they can't move anywhere. Yeah. And so I want it to be a player versus player experience for them, not a player versus poison experience. And so now we allow sets that have poison procs or poison abilities. We just don't allow the weapon poisons.
Yeah, the actual like poison alchemy item.
Exactly. And so we had to explain that to everybody. And so I've just been training a lot of new people. We've probably over the last 2 weeks, I brought 12 new people into the guild, and they're all PvPers, newer PvPers, and we've just been working through each one of them and their builds and rotations and their level of understanding.
That's awesome to have just people like you out there, just making sure people are somewhat prepared when they venture out into PvP, so they don't have a bad experience right out of the gate and just go uninstall the game or whatever.
Yeah, that's happening a lot right now in BGs, which should be a topic that we'll touch base on later.
Yes, totally. I just wanted to go back to that line of sight thing you were talking about, because, that's actually the main reason I would say that I personally don't like dueling. Outside of if I'm in Imperial City or something, I get a 1v1 going, that's fun. But just like in the overworld, just like inviting someone else to duel isn't a lot of fun for me, because at a high level, when you're an experienced player playing against other experienced players who are really into dueling, like that's the main thing that they do. The combat gets distilled. We've talked about this before. The combat gets distilled down into the meta super, super quickly with advanced players. And basically, if you're not coming to the fight with a dueling meta build, you stand no chance whatsoever. And if you have some kind of for fun build that does a lot of roll dodging and kiting and line of sighting, that's kind of my preferred play style. It has no place in dueling, and in fact, you can't even do it. If you try to play that way, you'll end up accidentally forfeiting the duel.
Mm-hmm. I like incorporating line of sight into the duels, not for the advanced guys that would, like the Imperial City guy that we run into, and we chase him for like 2 minutes around a post, and we're just like, hell with that guy, and we, let's go to the next district, because. Like, who wants to chase that guy for 5 minutes or 10 minutes? And
totally. I've been that person many. I've been actually both of those people many times.
right. But in a dueling tournament, when it's 1v1, and I only have 3 judging criteria. One of them, these are actually mixed martial arts or combat sports judging criteria, and it's damage inflicted, ring generalship, and aggression. And as long as you're displaying, at least 2 out of those 3, and say the fight goes the duration for five minutes or whatever, then we're going to judge accordingly to that, ring generalship, aggression, damage inflicted. And so that's how we judge it. Now this tournament yesterday, actually, for the beginners, I give them a couple options at the beginning. And one of the options I asked them, I said, do you want to use our judging criteria, or do you want to fight to the death? And of course, some of the people are like, to the death, And so, but they need to understand what they're accepting in that moment. And what they're potentially accepting is that some fights will go long, and we might run into a real life time crunch where people are like, I need to take the dogs for a walk. I need to feed the kids. I need to do anything other than watch these 2 people try and kill each other. Like we're going on 20 minutes now. And so they need to understand that. And then we give them the option on using an ult dump strategically. So we before the bout begins, a bout or a fight with somebody consists of 3 fights, best 2 out of 3. And even if you win the first 2, we will still do the third fight just for experience sake. You know, even though you cannot, they clearly won. They won 2 out of the 3. We're going to do the third one anyways, just so that way you guys get an extra round in and more experience. And so, because that's what it's about. But we give it to them and say, do you guys want to do an ult dump at the beginning and then no ult dumps through the course of the 3 fights, so you could strategically use your ultimate in, say, round 2 or round 3, line up your burst? Or do we want to do an ultimate dump before each fight out of those 3? And so you're starting with 0 ultimate at the beginning, or not 0, but lower ultimate, because you'll generate ultimate just doing an ultimate. So,
right.
And so most of the time they want to be able to strategically use it. So both parties, we have like locker rooms set up with training dummies, and they'll do an ult dump and start the first fight and then strategically use it to their advantage through the 3 fights. So
that's cool. And there's so many intricacies to dueling in these tournaments and stuff.
It is really cool.
Something I would like to see, I doubt it ever happens, but it would just make me happy if it did, would be if dueling were made like an open world thing where you don't have to stay in the confines of the dueling area. Like you and another player accept a duel invite, and now you're both just aggroed no matter where you go. That would be awesome. That would be great. You could just have the whole overworld as your arena.
Why does the 3 Musketeers come to mind? I picture like us jumping off the top of a castle and sliding down. And they're pursuing you and fighting you all the way through.
It would be incredible, man. I think it would
stables.
Imagine like you could do like a freaking cross Tamriel manhunt. You know, like it would be fun.
It doesn't seem like it would be that hard to do. You just have to, a quick, easy option to end the duel.
Yeah. Yeah, just forfeit. You could just forfeit any time from menu or whatever.
That would be
a cool idea.
Hilarious.
Doubt it happens, but
along that manhunt, we do a mini game, and it's just kind of on the spot if we have enough people online. And we'll go down to Imperial City, and I jump on one of my EP tunes, and everyone else jumps on either DC or AD tunes. And I tell them what district I'm in, and I'll carry 10K Telvar on me.
Yeah.
And
come and get it.
Yep, come and get it. And so that's pretty fun. They partner up, like 3 or 4 of them will jump on their AD, 3 or 4 will jump on DC. Icy was involved in the last one, and I was on my Mandalorian Stamina Nightblade build, so he could kind of tell you what it's like being on, being the hunter. Okay. But it was a lot of fun for me, trying to pick and choose, and I'm not just running from them. If I can take one of them out right in front of the other one, I'll do it and then disappear into the shadows.
Like the Predator.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. But Icy was.
It's frustrating as hell, I'll tell you that. Whenever I'm on my Nightblade, I always get caught. But when I'm trying to catch them, they always get away.
They can be so crafty and slippery, especially the ones that utilize that shade, man. You just can't touch them. You cannot touch them.
Oh yeah. A lot of fun. That's a fun little mini game though, a manhunt game in Imperial City, and I like that game.
That'd be cool. Maybe we'll incorporate that into the Students Goons.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Also, like, you had an idea of basically putting out a hit on someone. Like if maybe I'm out in Imperial City or Cyrodiil and I get 3v1'd and they kill me, and then one of the 3 people teabags me or something. Then if I get mad, I can be like, all right, Goons, 100K to whoever can give me a screenshot of this person dead on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Here's his name, number, social security.
Yeah. And so there's even another level to that too, because I had been thinking about that. So you could have a guild writ, an assassination writ for a particular player who's causing problems. And then you could also have in-game people that are clients, and they're offering, hey, I'm going to pay the guild 100K gold or 50K or whatever it is, but I want to see this person dead. They've killed me like 50 times while I'm trying to quest.
It would be like our own dark brotherhood, basically.
Yes, absolutely.
People can just take out contracts. Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. It'll be so fun, and so we just have a list, and they might qualify for both. They're a guild writ and they're a client writ. And so it might be a 200K, target.
That's hilarious. I love that idea.
Yeah. Awesome. So now there is a gray area, and that gray area is, what if that person starts complaining like I'm being targeted or I'm being bullied or whatever, when in fact, they were the person that was handing out tea bags and hunting lobies,
Yeah.
So
I mean, I like to think that we wouldn't take it too far. Hopefully, if we all target one person one time and then it's over, I feel like we can all be happy and move on from that.
Right. Yeah. But I think that would be a really cool aspect that I haven't seen anybody pull off just yet. So,
yeah. All right, Grim, anything else you want to talk about, man?
That's it. Later, just talking about current state of PvP and Battlegrounds.
Yeah. We got that coming up here in a little bit. All right. Well, I'll talk about what I've been up to. So as you guys know, I've been spending a whole lot of time with my Magicka Dragon Knight, just piecing that build together. I've been playing it kind of in an incomplete state for a few weeks now, just because I've been enjoying it so much. I just want to play it, even though it's incomplete. Finally got it all done. All the pieces are transmuted. Everything's gold. I got tri-stats on all the body pieces. It's totally done. I made the build video. It's on YouTube. And it's just awesome, man. I'm starting to, work on other builds now, but I'm already like really wanting to go back to that Mag DK. It's so much fun, and it's just absolutely a devastating build. It just annihilates everyone in my path, and I'm finding that it has spoiled me. Like spending the last few weeks playing on that build, having so much damage and so much AoE damage, and now like the last few days I've been playing on my Stampler. And I'll try to do the same kinds of things I did on my Mag DK, just dive into a group of 10 people and see how many people I can take out at once. And it just doesn't work that way, the way it does with my Mag DK. So I'm having to like relearn how to play as not that build. But totally awesome build. If you're looking for a Magicka Dragon Knight build that is very AoE focused, very glass cannon, super, super high damage, a lot of fun, just check out my YouTube channel, Cat Sparrowhawk. You'll find that there. Then now I'm moving back to my Stampler, which is my main, my PvP main. Her name is Old Betsy. She's my very favorite. And I'm toying around with some ideas on how to change this character up going into the next patch. I think I have the build mostly figured out, but I'm very undecided on the monster set. So I'll just give you guys a kind of a preview of the setup I'm looking at right now. It's extremely basic, but it's really good, I think, especially on a Stampler. So it's Bone Pirate, which I actually already was using, so I'm still using Bone Pirate, and I'm using Hulking Draugr, and right now I'm using Slime Craw, and that's the part I'm really undecided about is the monster set. Slime Craw is good. I was using Troll King. Even though it's getting nerfed, I still think it's a good option, so I'm still thinking about keeping that around. But I think what I really, really want is that Grundwolf monster set, and that's the one where you deal critical damage and it restores, well, right now it restores 1,000 of your primary resource and 500 of your off resource. And that can happen, I think, every 5 seconds. It's getting nerfed this next patch, but I still think it's going to be very good. And I think that's what I'm going to do on Betsy. The Slime Craw is nice. The damage is good, but it has zero effect on my ability to heal. And since I'm getting rid of Troll King, I'm losing a layer of protection. So I think if I put Grundwolf on there, that'll give me enough sustain where I can trade some of my actual recovery stat for damage. So I'm still getting more damage, almost the same amount I would get with Slime Craw, but it's also helping my healing out as well, so I'm not taking such a hit on the defensive end of things.
I feel like that you're going, you're kind of still deciding the monster sets. I feel like it's just a countdown. The monster sets are just placeholders until you get your hands on the Ring of the Wild Hunt.
Absolutely.
That's all these monster sets are. As soon as you get a hold of that ring, no more monster set issue, no more deciding which one. That ring's going on.
Yeah. For the Stampler,
the build being perfect.
You are 100% correct, and I won't even have to think about the build at that point. Because it's just obvious what it'll be. But
it'll be the Ring and Stoons, right?
And we will only ever refer to it as the Ring.
The ring.
One ring to rule them all.
Yeah. My assumption is that it's probably going to be a lot of effort to get a hold of that ring. And so I'm putting together a non-mythic build. And even, for other people, because I'll make a video for this build. And something that I like all my videos to be builds that are fairly easy to put together. I don't want to just have a build made of all this really difficult to get stuff and be like, yeah, look how good it is. But then whoever's watching is like, yeah, but I'm not going to be able to get a hold of that stuff. So that's not for me. I try to use stuff that's pretty easy to get a hold of.
I think that's actually huge too for your builds because they're all obviously very effective. I've seen them in action. But I think that's actually really cool too because, years ago, when I used to look up, try to find builds and things like that, I would go online, and when I was a new player trying to find a build, I'd go on and I'd find this build that sounded, oh, this sounds great. This sounds really cool. And then I'd scroll through it and it was, all of these pieces that just at the time just seemed completely unobtainable. And it just really kind of demoralized me. I was like, well, I don't even think and then I just end up trying for a little bit, and then I just end up giving up on trying to go over that build. So I think that's actually really, really cool.
And we all have like each other and guildmates and stuff that we're close to. We can always ask someone, we can try to get a trial run together or an arena run together. And we're kind of fortunate in that regard now. But, I know myself for the longest time, I just got to play this as a solo experience. And I didn't really have people that I could just round up and go do that kind of stuff. And I know a lot of people are that way. I like to focus on builds that are just kind of somewhat easy to put together for that reason. But I am definitely going to do a mythic version of this build once I get that ring. It's going to be this exact same setup. It'll be Bone Pirate, Hulking Jogger, One Piece Molag Kenna, and the ring. That'll be that build for sure. But until then, I got some thinking to do. I'm thinking Grundwolf is going to be
and good luck trying to see the character as the flash goes by.
Yeah. On that live stream yesterday, they showed off that ring. They put it on a character and just ran around a little bit. It's fast. I mean, it looked like the person was sprinting around, but they were not, holding the sprint button at all. And a point that I saw someone bring up on a forum is that I'm pretty sure this ring is going to allow you to run at the speed cap while in stealth. Because you're going to get more than this. You're going to get more speed than sprint gives you without having to sprint. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Blades are gonna love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Going back to your Stamplar build, did you know, I just did a Stamplar video. It was like a tanky Stamplar, but are you having issues? You said that you were running Troll King to help with like the incoming healing. And I made a comment on my video that I think without dual wield and blood craze and that extra heal coming in over time, I felt like Stamplar was short on heals also. You've got your vigor, and then you've got your ritual, cleansing ritual that has a little bitty hot on it. But that was kind of the extent of it. Do you feel that same way? There's not a lot of heals?
Well, on mine, I have the ritual and I have vigor and I use rally. I think between those three, it's pretty good as long as I remember to always cleanse first. I think that's the important thing for me. So that any healing that I do after that isn't having to fight anything.
Right.
So that's the main thing for me. But I was running around Imperial City a lot yesterday without Troll King, and as long as I wasn't super outnumbered, I felt like survivability was okay.
Repentance is great, but it's not always an option. Like you got to have dead things for it. So
yeah, totally.
I kind of felt left out there from time to time where I was just relying on my rally or relying on my vigor to keep me up through a lot of burst. So
yeah, I was trying to move away from Troll King. I feel like it is a bit of a crutch that I rely on. I'm thinking that Gruntwolf will give me good enough sustain that my survivability will come from just being able to continue using my abilities and dodging and running and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of what I'm trading there. And I know Bone Pirate and Hulking Draugr seems like a pretty plain Jane vanilla setup, but I really think it is very, very good on a Stamina Templar, especially because I'm basically doing the build video right now. But they're unique amongst other stamina specs. They have hardly any reliance on magicka whatsoever. So I think a lot of people dismiss Hulking Draugr because they're looking at the total amount of stat points that it gives you. And they're thinking, well, by the time I invest into the amount of magicka and health and everything that I need, it's really not all that much. So they start comparing it to Shacklebreaker, and that seems a lot more attractive. Which I agree most of the time. If you're comparing those two, go with Shacklebreaker. But for Stampler, you don't need that magicka. All you have is cleanse, nothing else. So piling that stamina as high as you can get it gives you nothing but benefits. So I think Hulking Draugr for a Stampler is actually very, very good. So I'm excited. I'm excited about this build. It's going to be fun. Other than that, I've just been hanging around in Imperial City with you guys quite a bit. That's basically my new home because Battlegrounds has no grouping right now. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Grim has some stuff he wants to say about it. We've been doing a little bit of PvE as well. Just we each have things we're trying to farm to get builds together. So we've just been trying to kind of help each other out with that. I've been making a ton of gold, selling Hacky Joes and key fragments. That's the best part about Imperial City, man. I've become very wealthy in a short amount of time just collecting those things and selling them. And there's just been a lot of really amazing fights down there. It's been cool. Yeah, that's about all I've been up to.
It's enough, right?
That's enough. It's a mouthful. So next up, we have some news/patch notes and stuff. I figure this will be the section where we talk about all of that. We'll start with just what's going on the live server or just out in the world relating to ESO. Number one, the Greymoor release has been pushed back to May 26th on PC. I'm sorry to not catch the console release, but it's probably 2 weeks after that? Or something like that.
About what it is.
May 26 for PC. And then they gave a preview for this new Antiquities system. There was a live stream yesterday on Bethesda's official Twitch channel. The video is still up if you want to check that out. It's pretty cool, actually. They just kind of showed a bit more details about how this Antiquities system actually works, like what the abilities do, how you find the things, and all that sort of stuff. It's pretty cool. They demonstrated basically the whole beginning to end thing and answered some questions that people had about it. I think it's pretty interesting. If this is something that interests you at all, I think it's worth going and watching that video because they do answer a lot of questions that I had. The biggest takeaway that I had from this thing is from the excavation skill line. This is one of the new skill lines that goes along with Antiquities. One of the abilities that you get there is Keen Eye for treasure chests. So, like in the crafting skill lines, like for clothing, you can get Keen Eye, and then from then on, all the ancestor silk that you see out in the world is glowing from far away, and you can spot it and go see it, go get it. Well, now you're going to get that for treasure chests, and they said it's going to work in dungeons too. So that's freaking huge, I think. I mean, think of all the Nightblades that just go chest farming in City of Ash or whatever. It's going to make their life so much easier.
That's an awesome ability. I was going to jump in there. June 9th is the console release date.
June 9th. Thank you. With the quick Google.
That's right. But going back to this treasure chest, I think this is awesome. I mean, I think we can all just think about how many treasure chests we've missed through our hundreds of dungeon runs that we've done. Just
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
in some
it's so
dungeons they
many.
like blend into the environment, so you don't even
Yep.
notice them. So solve
Or
that.
they're like up around a tree and you never really go in that area. And so I think this is awesome. I think it's really exciting.
It's a really clever way for them to ensure that a lot of people are going to want to get this skill line. You know, even if people are like, I don't care about antiquities, they're going to want to get that passive at least.
Yeah.
I wonder why there's like a disconnect between that new passive that they're going to introduce when, we already have a system in the Imperial City where the chests are highlighted purple. So you could see them from miles away.
Yeah, I wonder if those chests will be affected, or if they'll just have the purple and nothing else, or if they'll glow yellow as well, yellow and purple.
It'll be blinding.
Yeah.
Or what if they actually removed that highlighted feature in Imperial City, so now you have to rely on this new passive from the tree to see them?
Why do they glow purple? Does that to indicate that you'll be safe while picking that lock? Is that what that means?
No, you're not.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's when a lot of gankers wait. They'll
So
wait
then
until you're.
Why do they glow?
I don't know. That's a good question.
That's interesting. Anyway, definitely going to be getting that keen eye for the treasure chests for sure.
Going to be awesome. Once again, I'll say it again. I said it a lot last week. I'm really excited for antiquities. I think that it just, the more and more I learn about it, the more and more it just gets a little bit bigger, a little bit more useful. I think it's going to be a pretty big addition to the game.
Yeah, and after watching that live stream, it kind of became clear to me that it's going to be a pretty low stress activity. It's actually going to be pretty easy, I think. Like if you fully max out the skill lines, have everything, every tool that they make available, it seems like it's actually going to be pretty easy. Even like the most mythic, like the most rare, most complicated puzzles seem like they're fairly easy to solve. And even if you fail, you get to keep trying like over and over and over again. So it doesn't like go away or anything like that. The biggest. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the biggest question I have is so basically the way you start these treasure hunts is you get something called a lead, and it's basically like a special type of quest. It goes into your quest journal rather than an item in your inventory. And I think they said it's on a 30-day timer. So once you get that special quest, it expires after 30 days. And that's how much time you have to get it. So you can't just hoard them up. And then I think they said the leads, the type of leads that you find, like say you want a lead to get the Thracian Stranglers. Well, the specific leads for that specific items are found in specific places or doing like certain types of activities. So like figuring out where to look to get the kind of lead you're looking for, I think is going to be a thing. So that's interesting. They also said no two are alike. So you can't just look up like how to solve the puzzle for the Thracian Stranglers lead. Every time you find it, it's totally randomized. It might send you to a totally different part of the map. So it's no one's going to be able to copy each other. There'll be like strategies and stuff that people can share, but you're going to have to solve the puzzle on your own every time, it seems like.
There went my entire content for this year.
That was one of the questions. I need to go watch that live stream of Antiquities, but that was one of my questions. How did they talk about the mythic items? How those, is it just RNG on whether you get those, or when you get one, is it for sure going to give you a mythic item, or is it specific for?
I think the RNG. I think the most RNG heavy thing is finding the lead that you need to like start that quest.
But then when you get the lead, it's for a specific mythic item.
I think so. I might have to watch it again, but yeah, I think it will. It's for a specific item, and you're like basically guaranteed to get it unless you like let the lead expire.
Exciting.
I mean, you're not. You have to do some stuff. You have to like figure out how to get it, but you might take you several tries depending on how hard it is. But you get to keep trying over and over.
Sure, I just like the idea of if you can kind of go through your list, they expire, but you can say, all right, I definitely want to do these. I'm not really worried about these. If these expire, if I don't get around to them, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just like the ability to kind of be able to prioritize them.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is these leads are not tradable, right? It's a quest, so you can't give them to other players. It's just your own thing. And I think most of the actual mythic items are going to be bound. So it's just kind of an interesting thing there. I'm
account bound, right? Not character bound.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, surely. I think that's all I had to say before moving on to PTS stuff. Do you guys have anything you want to add before we do? On PTS, I have a handful of notes that I wrote down here, and feel free to chime in with anything you guys have as well. So in the Crown Store, I thought this was pretty interesting. So already right now, you can purchase vampire and werewolf skill lines just straight out. You can just buy them. They're changing it to work more like other skill lines. So now you actually have to have already leveled up a werewolf or vampire to max before they'll let you purchase the skill line straight out from the Crown Store. I thought that was surprising. Seems they already have their foot in the door to just straight out sell them, and now they're like imposing this limitation. Like obviously there's going to be a lot of people willing to pay for these things this next patch. And they're limiting how much sales they can get off this thing. I thought that was really interesting and very surprising.
Yeah, why would they make that call?
I actually am excited about it. It's I look at it as I'm really excited to see that ZOS is, this to me screams that they do hold quality in a high regard, and that this could just be a huge cash cow for them. And they're not looking at it as a cash cow. They're actually, making it more, because by doing this, what they're really creating is a much more culture and environment of players sharing, vampire and werewolf bites, and players are going to have to interact more. And that's going to have to be the major way that this happens. And it's going to create a lot of interaction. People are going to be looking for vampire bites or werewolf bites. I think it's really cool. I think that anytime that a company looks like that they have a cash cow and they're going to say, no, we think this would be more fun, I think that's exactly what you want to see.
Oh yeah, I think it's a good thing. It took me by surprise, just since like I said, they already had their foot in the door, so they could have just, let that be.
Yeah.
But it's neat that they seem to just want to be consistent with the other skill lines and all that stuff. Yeah, I definitely think it's a good thing for sure. Another thing, and this was in the patch notes last time too, but I don't think we brought it up. There are now alliance change tokens. And I'm pretty excited about this, but I think players are pretty mixed on this. And I want to know what you guys have to say about it. How do you feel about alliance lock in Cyrodiil? Why don't we start with Grim?
Oh, yep.
Oh, I see. Go right ahead, dude. I was just going to get started with someone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was because I love the whole idea, but I was just going to ask, so I guess why do people feel mixed? What's their concern about that?
Well, yeah, there's two different kinds of players in Cyrodiil, right? There's players who really care about the campaign. They really want their side to win, and that's what it's all about for them. And there are other players like me who I'm just looking for PvP. I just want to go out and get into fights with other players. I'm not even aware of who's winning most of the time, and so I think depending on what kind of player you are determines what side of this conversation you're on. If you really care about the campaign and that's what it's all about, then Alliance Lock is a good thing because there's not as much spying and cheating and that sort of thing. But if you just want to PvP, Alliance Lock kind of sucks because I'm locked out of playing with a third of my characters each campaign, and the other campaigns are dead. That's always the argument that's brought up: is there's other campaigns, no one's in those campaigns, so it's not the same thing. And then sometimes you'll log on and say like DC is super dominant, and everywhere you go, it's just DC everywhere you go. And so like if I'm locked to my DC characters, I can't find any fights because it's just my own people everywhere. So I would like to log on with an EP character so I can go fight against DC, actually engage in some PvP, but I don't have those options as it is right now. So that's my side of that conversation. I think, that's one side of that conversation. And the other side is, well, people faction hop, people cheat, people will log in with their AD character and then give all their secrets over to EP or whatever, and that stuff does happen. So I get it. I get the complaint. Honestly, I think this is a nice way to just solve it for everyone. I think some people are concerned like, oh, people are just going to keep buying tokens and faction hopping. But you know what? Before, you didn't need tokens to faction hop. You could just do it right away. I think at least charging real world money to do it is going to greatly limit the number of times that's actually happening. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a one-time big purchase of a bunch of these tokens and move all my characters to one faction. It's problem solved for me, and everyone else can do whatever they want to do.
Maybe that's the answer to why they could make the move on the vampire and werewolf skill lines and not try and use it for monetary gain, because they know that the alliance change tokens are going to more than carry.
Going to compensate.
Yeah.
I bet a lot of people are going to be doing that for sure.
Yeah. So worst case scenario, I guess, where the alliance change tokens cause harm is you have a full guild, and the full guild is competitive in PvP, and they get tired of fighting the good fight or whatever, and they decide, let's go over to DC. And so they decide to move their main PvP tunes over to DC, and now DC has more of an impact on the map, and we might see the scales kind of tip a little bit. And maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. I don't know, but I would say that that's probably worst case scenario, because at the end of the day, you could just create another tune, wait until I can create if I want to be AD, I just wait until reset and then home on my AD, and it's
if a guild
30
wants to
days
switch
away.
factions, they can do that right now, right? Maybe they can't switch their main, but they can just level a new one, an identical build, and do that.
Yeah, and so I think it's a convenience thing for them. Now, for you're a perfect example. You have someone a tune that you really love on DC, but you want to be able to run with us in the sewers. So it makes sense for you to be able to move that to EP. At the end of the day, you could do the same thing, just rebuild them. Like I've literally leveled 50 or 60 tunes to CP with no intentions of keeping them, just enjoying the ride and trying new things and trying new builds, get them to CP. And I'm like, well, I already have a Stampler, so see ya, or I already got a Mag DK, so, see ya. But I know that process for some people might not, they're in a race to get to end game. But for me, it was enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
But
let me start off with the alliance change tokens. Okay. These don't affect me much.
Right.
every character I own is a Nord, so every single person is EP. But
they all own Stoons.
They will all own Stoons. They will all Stoons Goons. But I actually think this is, to a lot of the points that people have made, I think this is overall a great change. I think, and Grim had talked a little bit about this, but, with the spying and things like that, I know that's the one big fear is that people can spy. You could just create a brand new character, hop over to, a different faction, and still be a spy if you were that dedicated to spying on somebody.
And you've made this point before too, Davyous, that spying happens in real world wars.
I was just about to get to that. Okay. So one of the coolest things about Cyrodiil is that it's, they did a great job of making it like a real war. It's this massive space. There's keeps, there's siege weapons. You have to run. Everybody has to mount up and go to different locations. So they did a good job of making it like this real war. There's a lot of spying in real war. That's a huge part. Espionage is a huge part of it. So if people are really that dedicated and they want to focus that much, I think it's only going to add up just a little bit more excitement. I don't do a whole lot of Cyrodiil, but I can't think of just a moment that was just, an entire group was being so secretive with plans that things would just be completely and totally wrecked if there was a spy amongst the group. I think it just could only make things more fun. I think that, and I think we'll talk a little bit about this later, but I think this is huge in the right direction of right now with BGs being solo queue. I think that this is nice to have more players be able to play with friends with their different characters.
Yes.
This kind of opens up an avenue for that. So I think that's
Totally
huge
agree.
right now.
Yeah, totally. I really hope that grouping comes back for BGs. We keep alluding to it. It's a topic we're going to get to. Just hang in there.
Let the anticipation build.
We should move on. I just wanted to read this thing here. I just thought it was kind of interesting. They say, in an effort to address many input delays, the cooldown for activating an ability after weapon swapping has been reduced from 500 milliseconds to 250 milliseconds to better match the animation. So, you can animation cancel an ability by weapon swapping, and then there's a short, 500 millisecond delay before you're actually allowed to cast another ability. They're shortening that delay now. So I thought that was interesting because they're just making animation canceling easier, and they seem to have been making efforts in the opposite direction lately.
They clearly have a lot of thoughts about animation canceling, but I don't know if they know what all those thoughts are. They definitely they want some changes with animation canceling, but they can't make up their mind on changes.
I mean, they say they're trying to address the input delays, and that's the reasoning. So I guess that's just a side effect, but hopefully it has an effect on that because that bug is super annoying.
Yeah, that affects high action per minute
Certainly
players, you know. So they'll like seeing that. That won't affect a lot of other players. So
yeah, anyone who does a lot of weapon swapping, animation canceling, I think this is going to be a good thing for probably most of us here. So basically they say all the sets from the Kind's Aegis trial have been reduced in their total effectiveness. They said this because they had an error in calculating their set bonus efficiency. So they had some mathematical problem there. So Kind's Wind, they're reducing the stamina and magicka restored to 399 per tick instead of 508. So that's the one where it just creates a big pool of Kind's Blessing on the ground. We don't know how big it is, right? So just bringing that down a little bit. Still super strong, I think. Roaring Opportunist, this is the one I've seen the most talk about on the forums. So as a reminder, this is the set where last time we talked, when you do a heavy attack to an off-balance target, it gives Major Slayer to your whole trial group for 10 seconds, has a 22-second cooldown. Now it no longer requires the target to be off-balance, and the duration is based on the amount of damage done from the heavy attack that procced it. So rather than just a flat 10-second duration, the duration will be based on how hard that heavy attack hits. And there's some ridiculous math here. Oh. It's a 5-second minimum. So even if your heavy attack hits for hardly anything, you're at least going to get 5 seconds out of it. And then you get 1 extra second for every 8,000 damage dealt from the heavy attack. 12 seconds max. That seems like an incredibly high number. So if you want the full 12 seconds...
How much damage?
If you want the full 12 seconds, your heavy attack needs to hit for 96,000.
Oh, piece of cake.
That's
Stoons.
Better get that Stoons on. Get that Stoons.
96,000 heavy attack. They say these changes were done to help reinforce this set as a damage dealing set. And to help ensure builds who specialize into heavy attacks are aptly rewarded compared to those who do not. So they want this to be a heavy attack set.
If somebody is hitting for 96k heavy attacks, I'm gonna watch out for that person.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, I've never tried making a heavy attack build, so maybe that's achievable. I really don't know. I know a Dragon Knight has an ability that was a 40% increase to their heavy attacks. Just seems like an outrageously high number.
Seems like a lot.
Yeah. But you're at least going to get 5 seconds out of it. Still, I think that cooldown is still 22 seconds. So it seems like a pretty substantial nerf to that particular set. Okay, Vrol's Command. So this was the tanking set. This is the one where you do a heavy attack and you give a major Aegis to yourself and 5 nearby allies for 10 seconds. And that can happen every 28 seconds. The cooldown is now going to be 36 seconds. So that's the only change really being made there. Longer cooldown. Kind of lame because people seemed kind of meh on this set already. So I understand their calculations maybe weren't quite right, but, need to spice this one up a little bit, I think. Yandir's Might. This is the one that we were really excited about last time. As a reminder, this is the one where you deal crit damage and you build up these stacks of stamina recovery, and then you do a heavy attack and you trade that stamina recovery for weapon damage based on how many stacks you had. So the more stacks, more damage. So now you're going to get 69 stamina recovery per stack instead of 100. So that's a total of 345 instead of 500 stamina recovery when you have all the stacks. And the weapon damage per stack is now 111 instead of 158. So that'll be a total of 555 weapon damage instead of 790. So you're looking at 345 stamina recovery versus 555 weapon damage is what the set is offering you now. Still think it's really good. 345 is a lot of recovery. Like if you just think a 5-piece set that just gives that to you at all times, you would be pretty stoked about that, I think. And as well as 555 weapon damage, pretty good too. I mean, everyone is using New Moon Acolyte right now, and that's what, 450? So still solid. Not as, I mean, we were like salivating over this thing last time. Now it's just more like, oh yeah, cool, good set.
Yeah, I'm still excited about the set. I think it can still be a really good set, but it's not like this. Everybody's probably going to have a set of this.
Yeah, still a super cool idea for a set.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, try not to get too upset. They nerfed Stoon's favor.
This is outrageous. Outrageous.
You leave our students alone.
Yeah.
This is clearly a sign. Zos is listening to the podcast. They've heard about Stoon's Goons. They're terrified, and they make immediate changes. It's just outrageous.
They don't want to see the Stoon squad.
We haven't even had a Goon night yet, and they're already nerfing. I mean, just outrageous.
Yeah, I think we're like obligated to be outraged anytime they touch this set, right?
How dare they?
All right, they're reducing the penetration. So this is the one that you get before. You got 13,355 penetration against off-balance enemies. Outrageous. Now you're going to get 11,130. So like 2,000 less. And they said the reason is to better account for its AoE effectiveness. So still a ton of penetration. Still going to be the meta.
Don't worry if you're listening out there, Stoon's Goons. We're still operating. We're still together.
We're still doing it. We're
happening.
Still pumping out sets of Stoons to every goon that comes through the door. So far, that has been 0, but we're gonna get them.
It's only gonna go up from here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start doing my writs and keep my mats piled up so I can keep crafting these things. What if I just stop doing PvP entirely and I just full time? I'm just crafting Stoons for everyone. That's just what it becomes.
Yeah, we'll never see you again. You have a list of 40 people.
Sorry, guys. I got to get these Stoons out there. The people need it.
Yep.
They're not OP enough. I can't remember if we mentioned this last time or not. Battle Spirit is now going to decrease your healing taken by 60% rather than 50%. So you're going to have a little bit harder time healing up in PvP. Goes along with a lot of the other changes that have been made recently. And then this one I actually want to talk about for just a minute here. So your character is going to get a new base stat. They're going to get critical resistance as a base stat. And right now on PTS, the amount is 1,350. When you're a level 50 character, you're going to have that amount of critical resistance right off the bat. This is maybe my very favorite thing in this whole patch. I may have said that about a couple of things, but this one for real this time. Okay,
for real this time. Wait a minute, it's got to be your second favorite, Stoons. I mean, don't
all right.
Don't overlook Stoons Goons.
Second favorite, fine. So this means that now So right now in the live game, if you're wearing a full M pen on all 7 of your armor pieces, you're going to have 1,806 critical resistance, right? And that's before CP. So now with this change, you'll get that same amount of critical resistance with just 3 M pen pieces. Actually, slightly more. It's 1866 instead of 1806. So you can choose, okay, well, do you just want to go extra high on the crit resist and just go all 7 M pen anyway? Or like in my case, I'm thinking, well, I'm already comfortable playing with this amount of critical resistance. So if I can just keep being comfortable with that, I have the option to go 4 well fitted on all of my stamina characters, which I think is probably what I'm going to do. So I think that's really exciting, and it's kind of, I think this is going to accomplish their goal of making the M pen trait just maybe slightly less necessary in PvP. I know not everyone feels this way, and some people feel like, I don't know, it's like sort of dumbing things down for people. But I mean, anything that's making more variety and more diversity in builds viable and possible, I'm always going to be a fan of. So I really 100%. Like this a lot.
Yeah, this brings in other traits into PvP, which is huge. Because right now, if you're not wearing full impen, then or impreg if you don't have full impen, like those, it's those two, or you're not going to be effective. So this is bringing in more traits into PvP, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I like in CP, if you mostly hang out in CP environments, you could probably easily get away with doing no impen whatsoever. Just compensate with champion points, still get a very good amount of critical resistance, and just go all well fitted or all divines or all infused or whatever. I think there's a lot of cool options here. This is such a simple thing for them to add, and I think it's going to have far-reaching ramifications or ramifications. I don't know. That seems to have a negative connotation to it. I think it's going to have a positive impact. It's going to be very, very cool.
Yeah, it's like Christmas for me. Both my Nightblade Bowman and my Nightblade Stanblade two-hander Mando, neither one of them have impen on them at all. They're 100% divine. So I'm just gaining crit resistance now. So that's great.
That's freaking cool. Very, very cool. So I'm pumped about that. All right. Any other PTS stuff that you guys wanted to mention before we move on? All right. I guess not. I actually need one more quick bio. Guys, I always just chug like a gallon of coffee before this thing, so I have the energy for it. So give me just a minute. I'll be right back. All right, so let's move on. We have a couple of other topics we want to talk about, and since this is kind of related to PvP, I figured we would start with Grim here. So, Grim, you want to talk a little bit about the current state of Battlegrounds and MMR and that kind of stuff? You want to kind of get us going here?
Yep, timestamp it right now. We need to do whatever we can to get the developers or whoever's eyes or ears, we need to get them here listening to this, because I work with a lot of new players, intermediate and advanced players, but the new players right now, there's an outcry. And so I have 3 lists of notes here for me. The first one is, I think everybody, the developers included, everyone needs to remember what it's like to be a new player in PvP. They don't understand CCs. They don't even know what abilities to be putting on their bar or picking up, what abilities outperform other abilities or anything like that. And a reoccurring problem is they also do not understand weapon swapping. They want to function off of one bar as best they can. And so it's a process bringing them along with the weapon swapping situation. They don't know how to heal themselves. We were joking about this on the last podcast, that low BBGs is kind of like the Wild West. Like these 2 guys are over here hitting each other for the last 2 minutes, and neither one of them can kill each other with light and heavy attacks, and neither one of them are healing. And you'll be standing next to a guy on your team that hasn't healed up he's at 25% health and hasn't healed the entire time you've been playing.
Right.
And it's just this crazy, like, what the heck is going on? They have no clue either. They don't know what's going on. They don't, for the most part, know how to play the objective or what the objective is. And they don't know how to counter build. So you have some abilities in your toolkit class wise that will make life easier for you when you run up against a sorcerer or run up against a dizzy swinger or whatever. And they don't realize, like, man, I'm just getting annihilated. I need to drop this ability off my bar and put this ability here, and it's going to make my life easier.
Yeah.
And they also don't understand basic maneuvering, how not to get pinched or sandwiched, to move as a group, and
that's a big
basics. One. Yeah, that make your life so much easier. They don't know how to spot healers, and they don't know how to spot threats, in a team fight. They're pretty much the first shiny thing that they see. I'm going to I'll stand right in the middle of the fight and take damage from all around me just to try and kill this one person who is low. And
I remember being that person. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what I'm working with on a daily basis. And I enjoy it because we're trying to enlighten or increase their level of understanding. And I understand where they're coming from too. So I'm trying to give them a game plan on what abilities they need to get access to and why. And then we set up training scenarios for them to practice it, whether it be a dueling 1v1 situation and they're having a hard time versus stamina players. The dizzy swingers are just annihilating them, eating their face. And so I jump on a stamina player and I teach them how to stand a better chance against that in that 1v1 scenario. And we go through and work through it all. But anyways, in this time frame that they've dropped the battleground groupings, and I think the primary reason was they were saying that pre-mades were ruining the experience for PvP, especially the newer players. And then you brought this up perfectly, that I think what we're seeing at this point is it wasn't always pre-mades. It was just people that had a good grasp or a good understanding of what they should be doing, how to play the objective.
I strongly believe that pre-mades were never as much of an issue as people thought.
Exactly. And we hands down are seeing that right now. That's proven that people just have a basic understanding of what they need to be doing. And there's people in BGs right now that'll say, I hate pre-mades, a new player. And it's like, that's not even a thing. These people just know what they're doing.
I was cracking jokes after the patch went live when they got rid of grouping, because I would jump into some matches and I'd be on a team where we'd have that same old experience where there's one super dominant team. We just get flattened the moment we put our toe on the ground, so I would just say in chat, damn pre-mades, even though I knew very well there are no pre-mades,
Yeah.
I think it's crazy. And this has just been my experience. I could be wrong on this, Zoss would have the data, but from my experience, battlegrounds have been greatly reduced just in how many people are actually doing them. I mean, I think we mentioned this last week. Me and Kit are in a guild that was just strictly battlegrounds. That's what it was all about. And that guild is now doing trial run. Like, I don't even think they're doing battlegrounds that often anymore. They're doing trial runs. We've seen them in Imperial City, which, they're doing other parts of the game, but it's just crazy to think that this battleground focus guild, these PvP focused, used to just they just don't have fun with battlegrounds anymore. It seems like it just
it's so odd because it seems like of all the PvP modes, battlegrounds is like the one. It's made for teams, like it seems like the whole idea is put a team together and go put it up against other teams and see what you can do. It's like I feel like the core component has been totally removed. You want to. I've always felt like Cyrodiil was the solo player's kind of playground. guess that's just my perception or whatever, but it's a weird thing. I was fully expecting grouping to come back this patch, and it's sad that it's not there. And kind of to what Grim was saying, for new players, basically Battlegrounds is where I learned to be good at PvP, because it's really the only place that you can queue up, you can get in there and just start fighting people and get a whole bunch of experience, firsthand experience right out of the gate, and it continues for a 15-minute long duration, constant, nonstop action, you against other players. And so your teeth get sharpened really fast just doing that over and over and over again. You learn those ropes. You get forced to learn those ropes quickly. Whereas, say, like Imperial City, it's a lot different. There's for one, there's NPCs and stuff like that all over the place. You may or may not even see other players. If you do, there's a good chance you're going to be totally outnumbered or just totally outclassed by a player who's been playing way longer than you, because there's no matchmaking going on there. Battlegrounds is the ideal place for someone to learn how to PvP. And if you can't group up, if you can't take a buddy with you to kind of alleviate that newness, it's definitely off-putting. Absolutely off-putting.
Bingo. My second set of notes are I actually went and kind of did an interview. All these players, these new players to the game, we're talking under a year. These people have been playing the game. And I met most of them in Imperial City. And the reason they're down there is because they cannot play in BGs with their friends. Mm-hmm. And they're literally...
That's how we met. I was Imperial City for that reason. And that's how we met. Yeah.
They're like, we know we're going to die, but we're cool with us dying together, you know? So I basically said, so what would be what's your reasoning, reasons for grouping from a new player perspective? Okay. Why would you want to see them add grouping in BGs back? And this is from all of them are new players under a year of experience, all of them. One person said, it's an MMO. I want to play with my friends.
Right.
And it was as simple as that.
That's obvious answer number one for sure. Yeah. Like, come on. Like, do we even need to answer this question?
Yeah, it's an MMO. I want to play with my friends. Another person said PvP is scary. I need to play with friends.
Yeah.
And it's an intimidation factor, and they would rather play with friends. Sure. Another person said 2 people who don't know what they are doing is better than 1.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I mean, we're playing a mass multiplayer online game that has a major feature of it that is not, multiplayer.
And it's team based. I mean, I think that's the thing that blows my mind. It's a team based activity. Like how does it make sense that you can only queue up solo?
Right.
And then,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, and then so you're on a 4-person team, and now you're asking a bunch of randoms to work together as a team, and then you see a very clear difference in the groups that can manage to do that. They just steamroll the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I was playing a bunch of BGs this week, and one guy was like, "Man, the other team's playing like a pre-made."
Yeah.
And they're all, and we're all, we're 12 people all randomly put together, and luckily for them, they the other guys figured it out. But in that situation, I was like, man, if we can get our stuff together, then we could maybe put up a nice meet them head on. Yeah. But again, I'm all alone essentially, and I can't do much. So what can I do? Just try to avoid getting caught, 1v4 or whatever. But then now am I forced to just play smarter, which I try to do, or just make a build that can handle a 1vx type situation for no CP BGs.
Yeah, which is hard to do without champion points.
Well, and I think Grim brings up a great point too. For every just stacked, loaded, expert, pre-made group that's in there, there's probably another group that is not great, but they're just friends joining up that they also count as a pre-made, but they're just joining up to have fun. And I
think people overestimate just how much of an advantage comms give you. Can be a huge advantage. I mean, don't get me wrong, but like we keep saying, a lot of the groups that we have perceived as pre-mades in the past, we're seeing groups that behave exactly that same way right now. They stay together, they know how to position, they avoid sandwiches, and they're all just for people who have played PvP before and they know what to do. So they don't need someone on the microphone telling them where to go, who to focus, all that sort of stuff. They do it all the time, so it's just second nature.
I think that Battleground Guild we're in, if 4 of those guys randomly get put together, they do not need to be on comms. That
Absolutely
team
not.
will be a force.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. One person said, I'm more likely to stick with it with friends. And so basically it's telling me they're on the fence about sticking with PvP at all, but they're more likely to take the time out of their day to do PvP if it's with somebody. They're not going to do it by themselves. And so it's steering people like that, of that mindset, away from PvP, where Battlegrounds utilizing an MMR, it will put them in a position to succeed or kind of bring them along instead of throwing them to the wolves. Like, your only group experience for PvP is going to be Open World Citadel or Imperial City, and who knows what you'll run into.
Yeah.
Another thing too, all of these people that I talk to, every one of them would not list themselves as somebody that's the frontliner, that's going to be the person that is going to go kill the enemy. If there were 4 people coming at you, none of these people said, "Oh, I'm going to be the one that's going to kill them." They all said, "I'm going to be the one that's going to keep the team alive, or try and keep the team alive, or support." Every one of them, under a year of experience, was support first. And that's important to know, I think, because those are the basic, maybe it's a small sample size, but the majority of the people were all support minded, not I can kill those people. It's because they just don't have enough know-how or do-how yet to kill them. They don't even know what their abilities do, let alone what those other players' abilities do. And so I think that with that basic understanding that most everybody is support-based, they should allow at least 2-man parties together, because there's a high likelihood that one, if not both of them, are support-minded because they're a new player. They don't know anything other than that yet.
Yeah.
So these were all comments from a bunch of people under a year of experience, and they're just lost. And they want grouping for Battlegrounds back. So,
yeah, I think new players and experienced players alike it's basically just one voice in unison saying, bring the groups back. I think when they first implemented the no grouping, there actually were quite a few people saying, heck yeah, thank goodness, get out of here, pre-mades, your time is over. I don't know. I feel like those people had a misunderstanding of where the issues are coming from. And I think anything we could say at this point is really just repeating ourselves. I just really want grouping to come back. I think most people are in agreement there. All right, let's move on from Battlegrounds. Davyous, you had a special topic that you wanted to bring up regarding this Nord guy that we see in these trailers, right?
Oh yeah. So go a little more lightheartedness here.
Okay. All right.
So this week I just randomly actually just kind of went into a deep dive of the trailers. I just was rewatching the Greymore trailer, and then I just kind of went down that rabbit hole and went all the way back and watched the original game trailer, which I hadn't seen. I don't know about you guys. I haven't seen that in years, and it's
amazing.
Basically, yeah, it's a great trailer. I think when you piece every piece together, it's like 20 minutes long, but it's fantastic. And then one of the coolest things that I realized that I hadn't seen that trailer in so long is that the NPCs from that original trailer are the reoccurring characters from all these new expansion trailers. So originally in that trailer, there's a Breton, an Altmer, and a Nord. And then for every expansion, at least one of them have appeared back in it, except for the Morrowind, where they actually introduced the Warden. So it was kind of a new character being introduced. But I just thought it was really cool that they're taking those same characters and they're kind of continuing the story of those characters still kind of sticking around.
That is cool. It's like this continuous thread throughout the lifespan of the game. Yeah.
It is really cool. And so I have to mention, I've got to bring it up. And even, the Nord character. Now, I know I'm biased towards Nords, but this guy definitely seems like the biggest badass among the three. Yeah. He just does. I mean, so going back to the original trailer, he takes the Altmer as a prisoner of war, totally utilizes her and takes her as a prisoner of war. Shout out to Stoon there.
That's right.
So, and then he actually fights the Breton one-on-one, beats him, actually kills the Breton, and then he's the only one that goes on in the final trailer to fight Mannimarco. It doesn't show that fight, but he's the only one that's at that end fight. Well, then later on, the Breton actually comes back to life. He's introduced as the Necromancer in the Elsewhere trailer. The Altmer comes back for the Somerset trailer. The Altmer has a vision of her dying in the Somerset trailer. Just saying. The Breton, he's already died. Well, Greymoor, the Nord, comes back. We get to see him in his own unique trailer. And what does he do? Just hanging out with Lyris. They're the only two that can dominate these vampires. So
never lost a fight. This guy
never lost a fight. The guy's just unstoppable.
So this is just Davyous' segment to just another example of why Nords are superior.
This is just the weekly Davyous, the never-ending Nord segment of the week here.
Yeah. Nord master class, master race.
Oh yeah. So I had to mention that little cool note that I found.
All right.
Those videos were so well done. Anytime that I'm talking to someone about the game, and they don't know what it is or whatever, and they're looking for an MMO, I send them all of those. There are people that have put them all together.
Yeah.
And I send them that, and I say, watch this, and if that doesn't get your blood pumping, then this isn't the game for you.
They do such a fantastic job on those trailers. They really do. Those trailers I'm always excited when a new one comes out. They do a fantastic job.
That studio, I can't remember the name, but they do a lot of trailers for a lot of different games. They always do great work.
Is it ZeniMax that makes them, or do they have another company?
They contract out some other studio that does this kind of CGI work. I think they made Overwatch trailers and stuff like that too.
Okay.
What else you got, Davies?
So the other thing I was going to bring up, as I said last week, I'm really into housing, really excited about housing. So I was going to talk about the upcoming Greymoor housing. They're introducing the 2 new homes, the Proudspire Manor, and then I'm probably going to butcher the name on this, but Bastion Sanguinaris.
Oh, okay.
Cool. So I'm excited. Obviously, the Bastion Sanguinaris is this very vampire themed. Looks like a massive house.
Is that the one in Blackreach?
Cool. That one is in Blackreach.
I previewed that one on PTS, and I want it for my Vampire Mag Blade. It's probably way out of my price range, but yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, that one seems awesome, and I've done some quick previews of them, and I just watched some preview videos. I probably need to actually get in and look at them. I can say I'm slightly, I don't want to say disappointed. It's too strong a word because I'm not disappointed, but I expected a more, we're in Skyrim. I expected a more Nord themed home. And I know they have this Proudspire Manor, but from the looks of it, it's not
very Nordy.
It's not very Nordy. It's kind of just a really nice, really nice home.
Okay.
And I could be wrong about it. Maybe when I actually get in there and look around, it could be, and it's still early, we all know they're going to release more homes coming out, but I really kind of expected the most Nord style house yet to kind of come out with this expansion.
Yeah.
And I don't think that
what's a Nord style house? What's it missing or
Well, so the best example I can give is to relate back to another house, which I think is the epitome of a Nord home. It's huge, but the Hackvild's High Hall. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that home, but it's in the game. It's in Craglorn. You can go you can go do a tour of it. But that is like the epitome to me of like a Nord home. It has an arena in it. It's got this big like, high hall home in the middle of it. It's got, it's a huge home, so it has got like the walls and the big towers,
grand halls and like pillars and things like that.
Yeah, you just think of like I don't know, like to kind of relate it to something outside of the game, very like a Beowulf. If anybody's familiar with that whole story, it's kind of that any kind of Viking culture. I really kind of expected something along those lines, and these two new homes didn't really quite capture that. But like I said, they'll probably release stuff down the road. So
yeah, cool, man. Housing, exciting stuff.
Exciting housing stuff.
All right, so I think we are coming to a close here. This next section here is where we would read emails if there were any, but there are not. But that's to be expected because we're just now kind of getting stuff started here. So if you would like to send us an email and possibly, have us read it on here, or just to share some ideas and thoughts, feedback, anything like that, I made a brand new email address. It's ScrollinPodcast@gmail.com. That's Scrollin with an I-N, no G at the end. ScrollinPodcast@gmail.com. Let us know any thoughts, questions, comments, anything like that, any discussion topics that you'd maybe like us to talk about right here during this section or whatever. All good stuff. So feel free to send it this way. I don't actually expect many or anyone to send an email anytime soon because this is still pretty small, but we'll still keep this section here, and if nothing else, it'll just become a recurring joke about how nobody writes us any emails.
We'll start creating what we would imagine an email would look like.
Yeah, we'll come up with hypothetical, like here's what someone might have written, Yeah, totally.
Look, this email's from Icy.
And also any corrections. That's another email you could send if we just are just factually incorrect about something, because I don't always feel like Googling something in the moment as we're talking. So I might throw out a number or something that's wrong. Feel free to toss that correction in a polite way, and we'll acknowledge it here. Any closing remarks from any of you guys?
Reach out, join up with Stoon's Goons.
Get up with the Stoon's Goons. Send me an in-game email at KetSparrowHawk, or you can email ScrollinPodcast@gmail.com. Let us know you want to be a goon. Let it tell us a little something about your commitment to Stoons. No, just kidding. No, just tell us you want to be in the guild. You're guaranteed in. It's a guaranteed. You're in the guild right away. All right, I guess we will say goodbye to everyone. Grim, where can we find you if we want to?
Grim's Forge Gaming on YouTube, and then just at Grim's Forge. And I'm usually spend most of my time in Imperial City, CP, and I'm down in the Ebonheart Pact EP base. So if you ever need help or you want to group up with me or whatever, just type in zone chat, hey Grim, are you online? And we'll make it happen.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, man. I see. Where can people get a hold of you if they'd like to?
In game at ICFire369. I'm usually rolling with Grim in the sewers or off doing my own thing.
Sweet. Cool. Good to have you here, man. Davyous Star Jumper, where can people get a hold of you?
So at Star Jumper in game, or like all of us, we're in Imperial City a lot on the EP side. So if you guys see us or fight with us, even if you're fighting against us, send us a whisper. We're all about talking.
Yeah, and a word of advice: if you are on an enemy faction and you encounter us, if you just sheathe your weapon, more than likely we're just going to leave you alone. All right, just a little tip there.
And that's not sarcastic. That's actually true. We're pretty chill group. So
yeah. But just a warning: if you're on the tracks, the train ain't stopping.
That's true. Yeah. Sometimes we just get going.
I wish I could remember what that one guy's name was that just kept coming out and throwing himself at the lion and kept trying. And I really appreciate
that. It was Fez something, yeah.
Fez, yeah. Fez and he was DC, right?
Was it DC?
Yeah, it was DC.
AD.
I think it was AD actually.
It was AD. Yeah. And I really was impressed with his go get 'em attitude. So.
Yeah, we were just right outside AD's base in the sewers and just trying to get a fight going down there. We actually ended up pulling quite a few of them. I put a video up on YouTube of it, actually. Mm-hmm. This dude Fez is actually pretty good. I think 1v1, he would have put up a pretty good fight against any one of us. But man, we'd put him down and he would just shoot right back out there over and over and over again, just like full throttle, man, putting everything he had into it every time. So I felt like a little bit.
Was that the Sork that was streaking through constantly?
No, he was a Stampler.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that Sork, I do not have the same feelings towards that Sork.
You do not get honorable mention, Sork.
Yeah, I didn't catch their name because that's all they were doing, just streaking around. Yeah.
You know what? It's just a common saying. Streak me once, shame on me. Streak me twice, shame on you.
Yep, just like my mother taught me. That sounds bad. Okay, different kind of streak, guys. We're talking about the Scrolls Online.
Terminal streak.
If you want to get a hold of me, you can look me up in-game at CatSparrowHawk. That's also my Twitter handle at CatSparrowHawk. You can email me at catsparrowhawk@gmail.com. Put a link to the Discord and the description of this episode. And I think that's the end of the podcast. Anything else?
Be safe out there.
Yeah, take care. See ya.
Leonidas, what is your profession? And everybody in the guild just says, students. I could see that going on. Like if we're all in Imperial City, D swinging, and then every time we get a kill, everyone's like, students.
Just yell it out in zone. Me and Ket have been joking about for the proposed Goon night that we've got to pick out like a costume.
Yeah, ridiculous costume.
Yeah, that is easily attainable for everybody in the group, and we all dye it, crazy colors or dye it the same color so that we're easily noticeable as Goons.
You could do the tabards, and you could design the tabards and just ask everybody to wear the tabards. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I haven't looked into the tabards much.
Can you just can any guild just make a tabard?
Yeah, you can design your own tabard, and then you make it. They have to purchase it for I don't know if you can set the price or not, but I've seen them. Yeah, 1,000 or 2,000 gold. So
yeah.
But yeah, so the tabard might be a good way to go, and it's right at their disposal.
Yeah, that sounds like. Yeah, we'll just make it I don't know, bright pink or something. Have you guys played Jedi Fallen Order? That Star Wars game?
I haven't.
Not yet.
It's a really good game. There's the main character you play as, he wears these ponchos, and that's a lot of the loot that you find in the game is just different ponchos to wear, and one of them is bright Pepto-Bismol pink.
Pepto-Bismol.
Yep.
Yeah. Delicious.
Oh gosh.
Let's not get into Pepto-Bismol stories, or it's a different podcast.
That's a dangerous road.
Different podcast.
No U-turns on that road.